Welcome into our final JoeHomeBuyerUtahLocation.com case study video. We're 10 weeks in, and we'll look back and see what we've been able to accomplish in the last 10 weeks and determine if it's been a success or not. Again, the goal when we started was to see if we could convert Joe Home Buyer Utah Location from a primarily pay-per-click site into one that relies more on organic search. So first off, let's just review what we've done. So at the beginning, we started June 20th. So as of June 19th, there were 91 total pages and 18,000 words published on this website. So in the last 10 weeks, we've obviously published an enormous amount, up to 348 pages and almost 670,000 words that are on there. Let's look at Google Analytics. So this is what it looked like. This is the 10 weeks before we started. So this is what we would have been looking at the first video. And you can see cross network is the largest, followed by paid search, followed by direct, and then display, and then organic search. So display, paid search, and cross network are all paid ads. Organic search is obviously search. And then direct is kind of a catch-all bucket. So that's where Google Analytics puts it when it's not sure where else to put it. So it could be things like somebody sharing a direct link, which is why it's called that, or coming from a bookmark. It can also just be something that for whatever reason isn't getting tracked through Google Analytics, and it comes that way. And then you can look over 10 weeks, about 4,000 visitors that led to so 4,200 users led to 4,300 sessions, 85% of them engaged, about one session per user, averaged about 18 seconds for 26,000 events. And if we come over to conversions, that came into 177 conversions. And then if you look down, you can see in terms of like time spent, organic search is the longest at a minute. The other ones are all about 10 to 20 seconds. And then in terms of sessions per user, again, organic search is the largest at almost 1.5, but normally they're about one session per user. Anyway, so that's what we saw. So fast forward to today. So this is the last 10 weeks while we've been there, is these dark blue ones, and then it's comparing it with that 10-week period that we just saw. So you can see direct is the huge jump. It's come all the way up to the top. I was talking to another SEO friend last week. Sometimes it can be frustrating that that what we put into search can show up in direct. It happens on a lot of websites, and it is what it is. The important part is that we're making progress. And then you can see cross network, display, and paid search still there, and then organic search as well. And then if we scroll down, and again, the only change, we didn't make any substantial changes to any of the paid stuff that we're doing. That pretty much remained flat. And you can see over that time, the number of users went from 4,000 to almost 10,000. The number of sessions went from 4,000 to over 10,000. The engagement rate went up. The engaged sessions went up as well. The average engagement time went up. And then the number of events went way up, as you can see. And then, oops, let's scroll down. Let's get down so I can scroll over. And then what we care about, the conversions went up 100. So it went up 50% in 10 weeks from 177 to 267, which is huge. And then diving into that, you can see the biggest increase there was in direct. Cross network went up as well. Display went up a couple. Paid search went up. And then organic search went up a couple. Well, I mean, it doubled, but it went from 4 to 8. And again, in talking to I4 who manages the pay-per-click, they feel like that the big change, the positive changes in their paid search actually came from what we're doing in publishing as well. We've mentioned a lot of times that the rising tide lifts all the boats, and that's definitely true. In this case. And if we scroll over to users as well, we can pull over, and again, it's the same story. So users are up. Direct is the big change, up almost 500%. And then obviously the pay-per-click one's up a little bit as well. Paid search is down a little bit. Organic search is up as well. So in terms of when I look at that, what I classify saying we've converted this from a pay-per-click site to an organic search site, well, the way that I would think about that is if we, let's go back down and look at conversions. So I guess we can go left to right. So, and looking at where our users are coming from, it used to, 6,000, or I guess if we subtract out, so if we say of the 10,000 users, 1,500, 2,500, 3,500 of them are through search, and the other 6,000, about 2/3 of them are coming from search, and about 1/3 of them from pay-per-click. And you compare to that to when we started, out of the 4,000, we had about 1,200, 1,800, 3,000. So 3/4 of them were coming from 3/4 of the users were coming from paid search. Now about 1/3 of them are, and 2/3 of them are not. So yeah, to me, that's a pretty good conversion. And again, the goal of this isn't to get rid of pay-per-click. It was just to have pay-per-click not have as big of a role by growing the other part. So in terms of users, yes, I would say we were there. In terms of conversions, let's look as well. So out of the 177, we'll look at where we were. 177, and those were coming 48, 70. So 70 out of 100, so about half were coming from paid search. And then now if you look at the 267, we've got 67 plus 50, 120. So 120, so about 1/3. So conversions went from almost a half to about 1/3 or 1/4 coming from direct search. So in terms of what I say, looking at this, that we've converted from being primarily paid search to primarily organic search, yes, in terms of primarily. That being said, I think there's a lot of growth to go, and there's more coming. Let's look at our search console as well. This is a 20-week period. So the June 20th is when we started. So you can see pretty flat, and then you can see, man, that's a great shape. So you look at impressions trending up exponentially, and then you look at the clicks going as well. And if we look back, even go longer term, so let's look back from the beginning and look at that. Oops. Sorry about that. Even if you look at the beginning, you can see it's actually this site from a search standpoint has gone through some shrinkage, right? That's happened over time, and this is where we came in, and you can see it's growing back up. So we recovered. I mean, if you look at it from that point, looking at it with my eyeball, right, that's recovered back into September 2022 levels. So in 10 weeks. We recovered 9 months worth of shrinking, and then obviously we want to get up here and pass it as well, which I think we're well on our way as we continue to getting it back up to where it was, before some of the algorithm updates and different things like that. Diving into here, and again, the reason why I like using here is I do a couple things. Number one, the search console that we were looking at. I was looking at the HTTPS site. It also pulls some things on the HTTP site. And I also like filtering it out, so we're only seeing USA traffic, not international traffic. For some sites that wouldn't make sense. For this site it does, where it's a real estate site located in Utah. Non-US searches are obviously substantially less meaningful for us. So big picture, we went from, again, this is telling the same story, from 600 impressions up to about 1,500, which is fantastic. And again, our goal was, we said we want more impressions. We want to drop our position. We want to increase our click-through rate and ultimately get more clicks. So on a big picture standpoint, yes, I mean, the shape of that is fantastic, right? The average position is dropping. We obviously want it to continue. The click-through rate is up and down, right? And the number of clicks is up. And again, the formula would be, if you're getting more impressions even with the same click-through rate. Obviously, you're getting more clicks. That's what you want. And then looking at last week we had a fantastic week. We went up 50% in impressions while holding our average position steady and actually just dropping a little bit. And then clicks were good as well. So yeah, fantastic week and fantastic 10 weeks in terms of what we've been able to accomplish. We've also, so let's look at what we published. So we started publishing more different pages. So you can see before we were focusing just on Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County, North Salt Lake, South Salt Lake. So locations that had Salt Lake in them. We've started looking at places like Taylorsville, Murray, Taylorsville, North Ogden, Roy, different places like that. With great success. So let me show you what's happened last week. It's really exciting. So first off, let's look at Salt Lake. And again, we talked about it a second ago, but the rising tide lifting all the boats. So we haven't really published anything on Salt Lake in the last week. And look at what happened as we published in cities around Salt Lake. We saw that it still ticked up. And what's even more exciting is that our average position was able to come down. So as we're gaining topical authority, when Google's looking at what to show us, they look at the site as a whole to try to understand what do we have authority about, what do we know what we're talking about. And as we're continue to write articles even about other cities, our topical authority will grow. And you can see also, if you look, the number of terms that we're showing up within Salt Lake is growing as well. So we've almost doubled the number of searches that people come in with Salt Lake and had it come up, which is fantastic. And then if we look at some of these other cities as well, so let's look at Ogden. We can see what types of results we're having on Ogden as we've started to publish there. For the load. But I feel like there's a lot of anticipation to see how Ogden's doing, right? Ogden. So yeah, we started ranking. So we hadn't ranked before. Last week we came in with 32 searches with the word Ogden in it. So that's fantastic to see that on the first week. Average position is higher than we would have liked, but just the fact that we're ranking is fantastic. We can also look here. Let's just reset this. We can also look really the primary query that we're trying to get listed in, or the search term is sell my home fast, or sell my, something like this, the sell house fast, sell my home fast, or whatever. And if we look actually and just look at the word sell and look at our queries in there, that can be another way where we can look at it and see how we're doing. And again, we could use fast or cash or different words like this. Yeah, it's fantastic. So you can see obviously we're coming up in terms of impressions. We're going down in terms of average position, which is exactly what we want. Obviously, we'll want to continue to have it go there. So yeah, in looking at this, again, super exciting, great things happening. Obviously, we'll continue to have it happen and continue to expand out to more locations. So if you look on here down at the bottom, these are the locations that we added into. Some of these we actually haven't published yet. We're doing a couple per day and kind of putting them out. So obviously South Salt Lake, we have South Salt Lake, Kearns, Taylorsville. West Valley, I think we put one article in. Murray, we put one article. Ogden, we have some. Roy, we have some. North Ogden, we have some. Some of these ones we haven't even published yet. We obviously will, and we'll continue to go. We're obviously focusing on some of the other ones in Salt Lake County, some of the other cities that aren't listed in this primary list, to have them focus there. In fact, we've already published some this week, which we can look. Mill Creek, that's in Salt Lake. Mill Creek as well. Ogden, which we talked about. Weber County, which is where Ogden is located. Anyway, Draper, which is a city in Salt Lake County. So we should be able to see solid growth as we continue to do that, which is our plan going forward. So this will be our last weekly video. Our plan going forward is to expand into more cities. We'll still do periodic videos just to check back in and see how we're doing, but it won't be weekly as well. Again, overall, super pleased. Obviously, taking weekly impressions and almost tripling it, going up by 2.5 times, dropping and at the same time, I don't know, you may not realize how remarkable this is, but to have impressions go up and average position go down at the same time is truly remarkable. We'll continue that going, which will, obviously result in more conversions, which is we want. If 10 weeks ago, I think if you had asked and said, hey, if I could get 100 more leads and go up by 30%, in 10 weeks, I think anybody would take that. And I know that the folks at Joe Homebuyer, UtahLocation.com are super happy as well. Please, if you want to see future case studies that we do, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss those when they come out. If you are interested in being featured in a case study, reach out to me. If you have other questions or things like that, leave them in the comments. I can make another video to address them. Thank you again for your time. I appreciate you taking time to watch this video, and enjoy the rest of your day.